Because, according to the white supremacists themselves, they took the non-white people of the planet into captivity. They brag about it. The history books that I have looked at, that most white people, many white people, and some black people, all of the history books that I've ever picked up said that black people were enslaved under a thing called white supremacy and chattel slavery. They had different titles from it, but it was based on color and non-color. White people enslaving people of color, rounding them up, chasing them down, bribing some of them to go and find others, bribing some black people to go and find other black people. I mean, giving them awards and whatnot to help them to enslave other black people. I mean, just running them down wherever they can find them. I mean, going and seeking them, crossing great oceans at great risk to themselves in that enterprise. I mean, and going through forests and asking people, going from tribe to tribe and asking people, are there any people over there on the other side of the mountain? Okay, is there any way that we can get to them? Well, we're going to pay you and round them up, and if you'll help us and whatnot, we're going to give you some trinkets and whatnot, and we'll go and we'll round them up and put them on ships, and we're going to enslave them and make them work for us. They bragged about this. I mean, starting with the little history books that I read about in 5th and 4th grade. I mean, and they were talking about me, all right, and bragging about it. They weren't trying to hide it. It's no secret. I mean, I wouldn't have known anything about it if, presumably, some white supremacists, maybe some white people who weren't white supremacists, told me about it. But mostly it sounded like they were bragging about it. Yes, I mean, these heathens, these unchristians, they had all kinds of things that we weren't and that we should have been. Savages. They always rounded them up, and we beat them with whips, and we put chains on them. And, I can show you the chains, I mean, and I can take you to the places where we landed them in different places. And that's what we did. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, that was a fine thing to do. They were better off with us doing this. I mean, they weren't doing anything with themselves anyway, just running around naked and whatnot. We put some clothes on them, and then later on we forced them to have to buy the clothes. I mean, but that was part of our package anyway. Their lives didn't mean anything, and still don't. That's what white supremacy is. They are bragged about it. So it's, in answer to the question, it's no secret. It's not anything that Neely Fuller just stumbled up on and nobody else knew about it. I mean, all of the history books say this. Every history book I ever picked up. And it sounds like they were bragging. And I'm saying, so you're bragging about mistreating people? Well, we don't look at it like it's mistreatment. We look at it like we're civilizing some people that just weren't about nothing. They needed to be rounded up. I mean, and knock their heads together. I mean, have them do something constructive. Well, I looked at that. And for a while, I looked at it, and I said, well, that is, maybe that does make sense. That's how I looked at it as a much younger person, until I started looking at, okay, so they exposed us to what in their so-called civilization? Well, I mean, they brag about killing people. And they say that that's what these savages did with their swords and whatnot, and their arrows and bows. Okay? But I said, you're doing the same thing. I mean, cowboys, rounding up and killing the Indians and whatnot, and bragging about that. The only good Indian is a dead Indian. And this is what they say is an improvement. And the logic tells me there's no improvement. You just, were doing the same thing you're accusing other people of doing, but you didn't improve anything. Well, we made everything more comfortable. Yes, made everything more comfortable for people to do more of what you're already doing which is a whole bunch of destructive stuff, bragging about war. All of the heroes or warriors, Julius Caesar, go back as far as what you see in the history books, Alexander the Great, somebody who cured somebody of a disease, he's somewhere in the back pages. And who cares anyway about some lady, I mean, who did something in a laboratory, I mean, that built a better house or cured a disease or saved the birds or saved some helpless animal that was crippled. That person doesn't get honorable mention. But somebody who carries a sword on his hip, they put a monument to him right in the middle of a city, taking up all the space where you could park some cars, maybe. I mean, it would be better off to park some cars there and take down that monument. That's an insult to what? Humanity.
Humanity, yes.
This is the way counter-racist codification looks at this.